What is up, YouTube? This is Paul Radiker back with another video. Today we're going to be shooting in a little bit different of a location. That's because I am staying at a hotel in Kentucky because there is a video that I'm shooting for someone in Maysville, Kentucky tomorrow. So I'm just staying at a hotel overnight. That way I don't have to drive all the way from Noblesville, Indiana to Maysville. You know, it's like a 3-hour drive. This way I don't have to do much of a drive in the early morning. Anyways, on to the topic of the video. So basically there are a lot of questions about the iPhone X that are being asked online. These are basically just the top searches on Google, YouTube, you name it. I'm just going to be trying to answer some of those questions to hopefully clear it up a little bit for anyone who is searching for those questions. So the first question we got is iPhone X waterproof? Yes, it is actually. It is IP67 certified. That means that it can be submerged up to 1 meter deep in a body of water. So, you know, if you drop it in a pool, it's most likely more than 1 meter, but it might survive up to, you know, 3 or 4 meters maybe. But that is not certified to survive with more than 1 meter. So keep that in mind. That is pretty great if you're trying to just like clean your phone or something. You don't want to, you know, use a wipe all over it. Just put it under some running water in the sink or something. It works. I've done that several times actually. All right, second question. Is the iPhone X unlocked? Well, that actually depends on which model you get. I believe there is an unlocked model, but most of the models have a specific kind of connection they will connect to. I know for the model that I have, it will only work on GSM networks. So, you know, that includes AT&T, T-Mobile. I don't know which GSM networks are in Europe. You know, basically any network that uses GSM rather than CDMA. CDMA is used with Verizon, Sprint, and, you know, any other CDMA networks. Luckily, I'm on the iPhone upgrade program, so if I wanted to, I could actually bring this phone to Apple, tell them that I want to switch to Sprint or something, and they will actually give me a different iPhone X that will work with CDMA so that I can switch to Sprint. But I believe they only do that if you are part of that program, mostly because they advertise that you can switch to any carrier, or any major carrier for that matter. And, you know, they would have to let you do that since they advertise it that way. But yeah, okay, moving on. Next question, is the iPhone X durable? Okay, now this is another one that kind of just depends. For one, it depends on what kind of case you put on it. I would not go caseless. Honestly, since both sides of the phone are glass, just like with the iPhone 8, it's going to break kind of easily. Apple might say that the glass is the most durable glass out there, but it's still glass. It's going to break if you drop it from a high enough height. I personally don't really have much of a case on mine at all. It's actually the Spigen thin fit case, and it doesn't do much at all to protect the phone. I've actually dropped my phone several times already. Not a long distance, just from like the waist, just from there. But I've had no damage to my phone. It's completely fine. No scratches on it, no tears in the paint, any of that stuff. All right, next question. Does the iPhone X overheat easily? That's actually a good question. I know in my experience, I haven't had any issues with it overheating. In fact, times when my phone would have gotten hot with my iPhone 7 Plus, I have noticed that this phone does not get nearly as hot, and that's likely due to the fact that it has glass on the back rather than aluminum. Because, you know, of course, metal, like aluminum, it'll conduct heat a little bit more. So since the iPhone X has a glass back, it's not going to conduct that heat nearly as much. I mean, glass will still absorb a little bit of heat, but not nearly as much as aluminum. I'm not sure if that like affects the internals of the phone, but I know in my experience, I haven't had it overheat once. Even in direct sunlight, like when I have it in my car and stuff, it's never overheated. So I wouldn't worry about the overheating too much. I mean, even if you're in a really sunny place, I don't think it's going to overheat. All right, next question. Is the iPhone X speaker louder? Now, okay, the iPhone X, I'm not going to say it's a lot louder than the iPhone 7 or 7 Plus. It's about the same volume as an iPhone 8. I'll put it that way. honestly, if you want to really test it, I would go to a retail store that has some to try out, such as an Apple store or Best Buy, something like that. I know comparing it to my old iPhone 7 Plus, it's louder, but I don't know if there's really that much of a difference. Like, yeah, it's definitely louder. I mean, you can notice that, but I wouldn't say it's going to affect you that much in the day-to-day life. I mean, you don't really need it to go as loud as it does. It gets loud, but who's going to want their phone to go that loud? Like, I feel like the iPhone 7 Plus speakers are just fine. As far as the stereo speaker configuration is concerned, it does actually sound better when you're watching something wide like this. If you have your phone like this, and watching a video, the stereo configuration does sound a little bit more balanced. All right, next question. Is the iPhone 10 worth it? Now, I actually made an entire video about this. It was my iPhone 10 review. Personally, after using the iPhone 10 for, I think it was a few months now. I got it in November, so yeah, it's been about 3 months. That's pretty amazing. I didn't even know it's been that long. But yeah, I would say it's worth it if you get it on some sort of payment plan. If you pay for it outright, it's either $1,000 or $1,150. I am just on the iPhone upgrade program, so I'm paying around $56 a month for the 256 gigabyte model. It'll be less than that if you get just the base 64 gigabyte model. I think that if you're on the upgrade program, it's worth it, mostly because after only 12 payments, just a year, you're able to upgrade to the latest iPhone right away. So I would say it's worth it if you're on some sort of plan like that, because you're only going to end up paying about half the cost of the phone, and then you'll be able to upgrade right after that. If you're paying it outright, I mean, this is still kind of a new product idea for Apple, and they're going to be developing this idea a lot more in the next few years. So, when you're buying a new kind of product like this, something that Apple has not done before, you're going to have to expect that the next phone after that, the next iteration, is going to have a lot of changes, and you're probably going to want to upgrade to the next one whenever that comes out. So, is it worth it right now? Maybe. If you get it on some sort of upgrade program where you can upgrade to the newest one whenever that comes out. But if you're just paying for it outright, I would not do that yet, honestly. I would wait until the next iteration comes out, and then maybe it'll be worth it. All right, next question. Does iPhone 10 Face ID work in the dark? That's actually a really easy one to answer. Yes, it does work in the dark, and that is because it uses an IR camera to do that. Infrared works just as well in the dark as it does in a bright room like this. Of course, if you are in direct sunlight, the radiation from that sun might affect the Face ID a little bit. I haven't had any issues with that yet. I know some people said they have. That's mostly people who live in really sunny areas like Arizona, California, places like that. But yes, it does work in the dark, to answer the question. All right, next one. Do iPhone 10 cases work with wireless charging? Yes, it depends. If you get a really thick case, then you might have some issues with wireless charging. It also depends on the wireless charging pad that you get. I would just get a really thin case to ensure that you get the best wireless charging experience. Next question. Does the iPhone 10 support 4K? Now, I will say the iPhone 10 has a kind of a weird screen resolution. I don't remember the exact numbers, but I would say it's pretty close to 1440p. So I mean, it is a little higher than what the iPhone 8 Plus has, which is 1080p resolution, but it's still not quite 4K. Honestly, I think 4K on a phone is kind of overdoing it anyway. You don't really need that many pixels on a phone, especially one with this screen size, but it does have something pretty close to 1440p. All right, next question. Does the iPhone 10 have a fingerprint sensor? No, it does not, but it does have Face ID, which honestly works really well in my experience. I've had almost zero issues trying to get my face scanned with it. And as we did state earlier, it does also work in the dark, so you're not going to have any issues when you're like laying in bed or something trying to unlock it. Unless you're laying sideways on your pillow, then you might have a few issues, but all you have to do for that is just lift your head up a little bit and then it'll work. Is the iPhone 10 pronounced iPhone X or iPhone 10? This is a question that baffles a lot of people, and I can understand why, because I know that when you look at the letter, it's an X, but the way Apple pronounces it whenever they say the product name, it's iPhone 10. So I'm gonna have to go with iPhone 10. You know, if Apple says it that way, it's 10. You know, there's no question about it. All right, so guys, that's all the questions that we have answers for today. If you do like what I did here, because this is a little different than what I've done before, go ahead and leave a thumbs up on the video. If you didn't like this too much, go ahead and give it a thumbs down. I hope this video is useful for you guys. If you're new to this channel and you like watching tech videos a lot, then consider subscribing to the channel. I will see you guys in the next one.